This is another edition of Petz's Final Verdict.
The Wizard and the Slug is a game I'd never heard of, and at the time of reviewing, isn't even out yet. With this, I came to it expecting very little, not because it's an indie game, or that it's made by just one person, but as I said, I knew literally nothing about it. Guess that's what you need to do. This cucumber behind my back. Oh shit. Basically, the game starts up with some history as how two immortal and mortal beings were created. Then you are greeted to a cheerful title screen where you can move around as the Slug to choose a new game or to load game. When you actually start the game, you are introduced to what seems like an escape. You aren't the Slug here, but a ball of energy, which you have to escape other flying creatures while they fire laser beams at you. It's a very short section. Once done, you are introduced to the Slug. As the Slug, you wake up and take a happy stroll to where you find the Wizard. You help the Wizard with a task, and then you are tested to see if you are worthy to journey with the Wizard. This is the start of the Wizard and the Slug's adventure. From here on out, you play as the Slug, who has the ability to jump, but not only jump, you can also double and triple jump. On top of that, you can even fire shots of slug at things. This is where the game's unique mechanics come into play. While jumping normally, you just jump, but to double and triple jump, you fire slug balls downwards. And then you get the height or momentum from the jumps. With the balls that come from you, you shrink down, and when you shrink down to your smallest, this is where you take damage. So timing jumps so you don't get hurt is integral to getting about and not dying. The same applies to fired shots. The Slug gets smaller with each shot, so taking out enemies or bosses can be tricky, so you need to make sure you aren't hit when small. When you are hit when larger, then you lose all your slugginess and become small. Luckily you don't lose health here, but you are vulnerable to the next attack because becoming small is, as previously stated, where you get hurt. The Slug also has a small amount of health. In fact, you can only take 2 hits while you're a tiny ball to be killed. So either avoid becoming small or practice dodging and you'll be perfectly fine. Yeah, Cora, if you're there. Even this fucking cactus wants to punch you in the face. You filthy bitch. The level design is really good. It starts off pretty simple with fairly easy platforming, but as you progress and gain the dash ability, it becomes more difficult. And you have sections where there are different routes to take which lean more on one ability over the other. Or will rely on your platforming skills instead of enemy fighting skills. Though even that will have platforming, it's just a little bit easier. The Wizard helps in many sections by having magical hearts created, so when you dash or jump into them, it regenerates the Slug's mass. So if you use the triple jump, you can then jump again when hitting the hearts. These hearts vanish when touched, and while they do respawn, they take a little time. Timing for these platforming sections with jumps and dashes is key. Spamming the jump button won't work. Enemies are usually dispatched with a few shots from the Slug shot. But there are more that are a little trickier. For example, some are immune to your shots, so you have to use the environment to make the kill. Some enemies need to be hit in the back. Some can only be killed by a certain shot type, so choosing the correct one of the 3 is needed. Some are easier taken out when you have a friend helping you. Oh, I didn't mention that you get other people helping you out? Well, there are times that you will come across other characters in the game. The first is a banana, and they offer to help you. These are brief sections normally and usually have a fun ending. Speaking of the ending, this game does have 3. I had 2 of the endings, and this was due to getting 3 collectibles on the way through the game. The first collectible you pretty much get at the start, just going along the normal route. But the later 2 you get from exploring. There are a few times that you end up off the beaten path that leads you to a fight in which you get the other collectibles. The 3 collectibles you get rewards you near the end of the game, and it is needed for what I believe is the best ending. I also have what I assume is the worst, and I assume that to get the best ending, you need the collectibles. Yeah! Turbo dashing slug. Oh. The game is visually appealing with some interesting character designs. Playing the game, both myself and even the viewers noticed that some had an Adventure Time kind of look and feel to them. The backgrounds are also usually very nice and colourful. Some are more dark and damp looking, but the style and the bold, solid colours make everything stand out. Some games try to overcomplicate things, and at times it's hard to tell where you can land on a platform. There's no issues with this here, as you can easily tell where the platforms are and where to go. The animation for the game is a little lacking in some respects. For example, the wizard, only a little of the cape moves. Where you turn left or right, everything else is static. And some enemies move as if the joints are on rollerballs. To be honest, for me, it's not a problem, and it adds a certain charm to the game, as it's not all enemies, and it seems like it's been done purposely for them and not others to give them slightly different looking movements. Now, the music in the game is great overall. Honestly, it ranges from damn good to awesome. There's not a bad track in the game. The tracks vary from a calming melodic whimsy when in the wooded area to really fast-paced energetic riffs in the volcanic looking area. The music in the game really resonates with you for the levels you are in or during certain cutscenes where there's in fact no music at all, and those scenes are then enhanced by the lack of music as it shows the wizard's recent past and explains the opening of the game where you took control of the orb. This is a game I knew nothing of and went into it with no expectations. I've come away pleasantly surprised by how enjoyable the game is. It's a very good all-round game and is a nice little package that gave me a good several hours of fun. When all is said and done, I have mostly positive things to say about the game. It's good at what it does, and I think a sequel improving upon what's done in this game will be even better. I wouldn't say the game outdoes any others in its various departments, but it does a splendid job at the mechanics present. And the story is pretty interesting, and genuinely funny with some nice references to other pop culture. With all that in mind, I'm going to give this a solid 8 Pugsleys out of 10.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. Why not give Pedz a follow if you enjoyed it? And while you're at it, check out grk.co.uk and the GRK Collective on YouTube. Yeah.